and welcome to What's Going On in District 31. I'm State Representative Troy Hebert, and we're excited to bring you our second edition of our newly created series. Man, thank y'all so much for the comments and the shares, and from our last episode where we were at Hebert Specialty Meats talking about the history of turducken. Man, what a special one that was for the week of Thanksgiving. You know, what we promised you was that not only will we be meeting businesses in our district, talking to local officials in our district, talking about projects in our district, we talked about how we would let you know what's going on in Baton Rouge. And I can't think of a better way to cap off our second series of what's going on in the district than to talk about the last 2 years of what's happened here in Baton Rouge. And we're sitting here with my good friend, the Speaker of the House, Mr. Phillip Devillier. Speaker, thanks for doing this with us today.
Yeah, this is exciting, and thank you for doing this. I mean, this is incredible. It's a great idea, and I'm glad you're trying to do everything you can to get the positive message out to your constituents and, of course, everyone across the state as well.
Well, I appreciate you. Now, look, like I said, we had like 5,600, 5,700 views. I don't know if we're going to beat a turducken like last time, but we're going to try. But, Mr. Speaker, you represent the Eunice area. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about, what you do for a living, where you come from, what brought you into politics. If you don't know, the Speaker is like the CEO of the House of Representatives, does a lot of heavy lifting, got to move a lot of moving parts in his job. He does a great job. He's leading our delegation and our body very well in the House, and helps us achieve a lot of the things that we achieved over the last 2 years. But so, speaking about heavy lifting, speaking about moving parts, what do you do for a living, Phillip?
Yeah, so I mean, in my normal day job, I'm a contractor. So we move homes, we lift homes, pretty much anything to do with homes, we do it. Foundation work and things of that nature. Now, since I've been elected as Speaker, I've resigned from that role. I still own the assets of the company, but they've taken over, and they're doing a great job without me. But over the last 23 months, as I've been the Speaker, this has been my number one focus. So it's just trying to work with the members of the legislature and the staff in this building to just really do a tremendous job to try to move the state forward. And it's been an incredible experience, and it's really, being the Speaker is just like running a mid-sized business.
So recently, you and I had a conversation about accomplishments over the last couple of years. It's hard to believe I've been in office for 2 years. We've had 6 sessions in 2 years, 2 regular, 4 special. A lot of things to tackle, a lot of positive momentum. Like we were talking earlier, who would have thought we could say that Louisiana ranks in the top 10 states to do business in? There at some point, we probably would have never thought we'd ever be able to say that, but we can say that now. And a lot of it has to do with a lot of the heavy lifting and the positive momentum. You were very passionate in that conversation you and I had. I could see that, you've been in office for 10 years now, two terms. This is your 3rd term. You've experienced a lot here, but like you told me, you feel that we've accomplished more in the last 2 years than we've accomplished in a long time. Now, Mr. Speaker, and we had chairmen and chairwomen of the House of Representatives did a road show. They went all over the state sharing this positive message and did a phenomenal job doing that. But still, we don't get to reach everybody, right?
That's right.
And so hopefully we can reach some more people here today. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to really bring to the light. And Representative, I'll tell you, probably in 2014, I was looking around, having a young family, a couple of small businesses, married my high school sweetheart, and we felt like we had so many positive things going on around us and so many blessings. But we looked outside of our home, and you can just see all the people that we went to high school with and college with. They all left Louisiana. And this is outward migration. Every time we turned around, just another friend was leaving to go to another state looking for opportunities. And I really don't know what came over me, but I told my wife, I think I want to run for state representative. And she was like, where did that come from?
Mutual.
So I never ran for office before. So, she gave me her blessing, and I started going around the district knocking on doors. And long story short, I was elected in 2015 and started serving in 16. Came to the Capitol and really started understanding the why that we had such a strong outward migration in Louisiana. But I will tell you, after my first term, I was more frustrated than ever because it didn't seem like we could really get anything done. It was just one excuse after the other. I really thought about not running for office again and prayed on it, and no one else qualified, so I guess I decided to run for my second term. And then, of course, we had COVID and all the distractions that went on in my second term. And again, it was another 4 years of not really doing a whole lot to move Louisiana forward. So there went 8 years of watching my kids grow up, and then, of course, not being around my business as much and around my family as much as I would like to have been. And I just was like, will we ever make any differences in Louisiana? Because everyone hears, oh, we're last in everything, we're last in everything. And then, of course, with Jeff Landry as the new governor coming in 23 months ago, the new legislature, you were elected. We had a lot of new members coming in, and I felt like we had a lot of momentum between the House, Senate, and our governor. And I'll tell you, in those 23 months, when you look at the legislation we passed when it comes to criminal justice reform, when you look at the reforms we've passed with our education, when you look at our tax policies, when you look at our what we've done with our budget, we haven't grown our budget at all. Matter of fact, we've paid down debt to save in the state general fund. When you look at the new investments we've put on roads and bridges, on infrastructure, and then I'll tell you, I've toured the state probably 7 or 8 times now, and everyone talks about our insurance and how high our insurance is. And look, people group insurance as a whole. When you think about flood insurance, property insurance, auto insurance, all of those things are insurance, right? Mm-hmm. And they're all high. So I'll tell you, and you know this, we've passed 51 insurance reform bills. So when you start looking at all the things that we've done in 23 months, and you sit back and you're like, man, we weren't able to accomplish any of that in my first 8 years. So to be able to do it in 23 months is just, it's really mind-boggling, but it's also very encouraging because now I feel like we're seeing changes across Louisiana. And when you think, well, what are you seeing? I mean, we have an 11% reduction in crime already, which I know that's not enough, but we're pushing for it, right? When you look at our education system, again, I was elected in 2016, but in 2019, we were ranked 49th in the nation. In 2022, we were ranked 42nd in the nation. This year, the new rankings came out. We were 32nd in the nation in our nation's report card. We had some of the highest growth of any other state in the nation, which is just incredible. And I mean, I think our teachers and everyone that's involved in the education system, they need to be thanked for the work that they're putting forth. But, we've done a lot of education reform, our tax policy. I mean, look, I can tell you, and I told you this the other night, I filed bill after bill, and I couldn't get them out of Ways and Means. With our governor and with his very, very aggressive approach and this legislature, we were able to cut personal income tax. I mean, when I was elected in 16, we had a personal income tax rate of, I think it was 2, 4, and 6. Today, we have one flat rate of 3%. Right. So every single listener that pays an income tax is going to see a reduction in their income taxes. I mean, that's over $1 billion reduction as far as an income tax goes. On the corporate side, I think we had 5 different rates when I was elected. Today, we've compressed the highest rate of 7.5 down to a flat 5.5%. So, we've lowered that on the corporate income tax side. We've gotten rid of franchise tax. Right. I can't tell you how many times we've tried to get rid of franchise tax. So this will be the first year the businesses will not have a franchise tax. I filed bill after bill to try to get rid of the inventory tax. So this year we've gotten rid of the credit, and we're going to have on the ballot again to give the locals an option to get rid of the inventory tax. So when you start looking at all of that tax policy, I mean, our business rankings have gone from the mid to upper 40s to now they're down. I think our business outlook now is maybe 15 or 18 on a national ranking. So that's just phenomenal,
right?
And then our insurance rates, I mean, like, we can't say enough about all the good that we've done bringing a balanced approach to insurance reform. And I mean, I think you could speak probably more on this than me, but I think we've seen several new companies coming in to write property already. We've seen over 20 companies file for rate reductions. And, it's incredible. I drive around the state. I'm seeing roads getting built. I think next week we're breaking ground on 61 bridges that we're going to replace. And we've challenged the department to fix these bridges in 15 months. So, I mean, people that haven't been able to cross over bridges are going to be able to cross bridges again. I mean, it's just, it's phenomenal. But when you think about why I ran, it was because I was seeing so many people leave Louisiana, and it was just really discouraging to think I spent 8 years here, we didn't change anything, and now in 23 months we're seeing all these changes. And what happens with all these changes? For the first time in over a decade, we now have an influx of population. We have over 10,000 new Louisianians coming in. Well, the interesting thing about that, I mean, that's great in itself. We have $72 billion of new investments. I don't think people can even wrap their head around what that looks like. I mean, I would encourage you to drive out to where the Meta site is. Go look at some of these LNG plants. Go look at where the new Hyundai Steel. I mean, it's incredible to think all of these new jobs coming. They're high-paying jobs. I mean, I think the average salary is going to be in the 90s. And
that's
I mean,
amazing. That's awesome.
It's incredible. When you think of the average salary of Louisiana is probably in the 40s. The average salary of all these new investments coming in is going to be in the 90s. It's just incredible. So Susan Bourgeois with LED and her team are just knocking it out of the park. And so I really want to go back to the outward migration now, the influx of people moving in. So, I was talking when my insurance came back in for our company recently. I was going over the policy, and it was great. With 18-wheelers, our insurance went down. I was ecstatic about that. But I asked my agent, I said, how can we even reduce it further? And he said, y'all have done really good with policy and reform. He said, what we need is more people paying into the pool. Well, guess what? More people coming in, it's more people paying into the pool. I was talking to Cade Brumley, and he's phenomenal with our Department of Education. I said, Cade, what can we do to go from 32nd now in education to get down to maybe the 20s? He said, we've got to keep the people that we're educating in Louisiana. So those people that are moving out, they're all looking for opportunities. Well, now with all these new investments coming in, that's people that are going to be looking at these opportunities and staying in our state. So we're going to continue to see improvements when it comes to our education, and all of that creates a better tax base. When you have a better tax base, you can pay for better education resources. You can pay for more infrastructure. I mean, you can pay for better police protection, healthcare. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And I mean, it's just now I feel like we're doing something. The momentum's there. I know that people want to see this and feel it. And look, it's right around the corner. So,
no, listen, and I think I told you the other day when we were together, it's like, I kind of like you, for whatever reason, I was involved in my industry. My wife very involved politically in her industry. Always had this thought about doing this. Prayed on it, obviously. Had to get my wife's support. I just stood outside this door looking out a Capitol window earlier today, talking to a friend of mine, and I said, I can't believe I actually work in this building, and I'm actually here, part of this, in doing this, but I'm proud to be doing it. I do not know what life was like prior to me being here, but I do know what I see here since I've been here. And I know there's a lot of driven people. A lot of people want to see Louisiana succeed. A lot of the legislatures that want to be very strong policy-driven people want to do everything they can to keep the momentum going and get the word out, kind of like we're doing here today. Yes, do we have lots of things to address or continue to address in the state of Louisiana? Absolutely. But have we made good positive momentum? The answer is yes. And I think that's part of the driving force of the willingness to want to keep coming here and doing this is when you really start to see progress. It's just like any business, right? No business is perfect, but we're going to keep working on our business. We're going to keep doing everything we can to make our business better. And it's just it's unfortunately can't fix it all in just one session. Sometimes it takes multiple sessions to get to a certain point. But that's what we want to do, right? And I think we have a lot of good people serving across our state with the willingness to do that. And I just think it is amazing what we've done in 2 years. It feels like I've been here longer than 2 years with 6 sessions inside 2 years. That's a lot of time away from your family, a lot of time away from your business. But it's why we're here, right? We choose to be here because we want to do what we can with our time here to make the state the best we can. Mr. Speaker, before we step away, anything you would like to close with? Anything maybe coming up, or anything you think that District 31, your district, the state of Louisiana, needs to know about moving forward?
No, I mean, I think we really have to take into account all of the legislation that we passed in 23 months. And I'll tell you, a lot of these policies haven't even gone into effect yet. You know, when you think about some of the insurance
Correct.
reform, some of the tax reform, and we have to see those policies start working. And I mean, obviously, we're seeing it with investments coming in. But I mean, Chairwoman Emerson and I were just sitting down in the Speaker's office looking at all of the tax collections that we received from the Department of Revenue that I just got in this week. And that's new collections on the legislation that was passed last year at this time, last November, actually. And, you know, you have to see how the policies that we put in place, how that affects not only the general public, but the state general fund and things of that nature. So, you know, when you look at all the insurance reforms, we need to see how do that actually affect the ratepayers and make sure that, you know, we're bringing and keeping a balanced approach to all of these things. And we want to make sure that we can continue our investments in infrastructure. We certainly want to make sure that we continue the efforts we have when it comes to crime, lowering those crime rates, and just bringing more businesses to our state, staying a close partnership with the education system. I mean, but I'll tell you, I look around this room that we're sitting in, and I don't know what your viewers can see, but this room wasn't like this a year ago. I mean, this was our communication staff saying we want to create a room to where you can sit down and you can put out podcasts and things of that nature.
Right.
And so, you know, you have, I would say, let's just say a vision, right? And then with a vision, maybe you have to have hope. But with all that, you have to also have faith. And faith sometimes is the most important thing that we can have. And I'll tell you, I was sitting down with our governor last week, and we were talking about hope and we were talking about faith. And I'll tell you for myself, I'm someone that has been very hopeful for a long time, and maybe I fell short a few times on faith. And I think right now, what I'm hopeful for is that the people of Louisiana will have a renewed sense of hope in what the legislature's doing. And really and truthfully, that's something that we have to show and continue to show to your constituents. So I'm excited for what the state has to hold. I'm hopeful that my kids will have an opportunity to stay here in Louisiana, and then I can watch them grow up and raise a family, and then hopefully one day retire here in Louisiana. But I'm really thankful for the things that we've accomplished over the last 23 months. It is not something that I take lightly, and I know you don't as well. So.
Right. Well, Mr. Speaker, I truly appreciate you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure to getting to know you over the last couple of years and to continue to get to know you better as we serve together. District 31, what a great way to close out 2025, a great recap of what's happened here in Baton Rouge over the last 2 years. Next month, we're going to talk about some more exciting news coming out of Baton Rouge. We're going to talk about rural broadband deployment and how we're deploying rural broadband to rural communities throughout the state of Louisiana. We're going to have the gumbo department. We're going to have one of our contractors. We recently in District 31, if you haven't seen, just buried an enormous amount of broadband underground, reaching over 500 homes. That's over 3,000 people. And the next phase is to introduce another many homes and to get more of that broadband coverage into our rural areas. You can learn about how Louisiana is leading the charge in that area and how that's really benefiting a big part of District 31. So until next year, 2026, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2026.
Merry Christmas.